We'll get things started with the few but fine of us that are here. Thanks so much for joining and for your understanding with needing to reschedule this. I have prepared some slides to go through to talk about summer camp just based on questions I get asked frequently, and also based on the responses that you gave in the survey on the email. I will let you know we are recording this and it will be posted to our website. So if you would prefer to have your camera off, that is just fine. I'll go ahead and share my screen and get going. So I will just start with an introduction. Hi, my name is Amy. I'm the summer camp director at Stone Canyon. I'm skipping forward. I'm the summer camp director at Stone Canyon. This will be my 5th summer at camp. I love summer camp. It's a fantastic time. We are really looking forward to this summer, especially after a few years of irregularities. And we're just thrilled to get going. So as I'm talking through these slides, I'm just gonna kind of get through what I have prepared. As you know, questions might come to you, please feel free to pop them in the chat box. And then once I have reached the end of my slides, then I will go ahead and answer questions from the chat. You're free to unmute yourself if you'd like to ask a question verbally, and we will go ahead and get started. So first, I want to talk a little bit about our COVID protocols for the summer, of course, a hot ticket item. So some things that we have in place to keep our community safe this summer. We will do a daily health screening at check-in each morning. So what that will look like is essentially we'll check your camper's temperature every morning, and we'll just go through a few questions asking if they have any common symptoms of COVID, if they've been exposed to anyone that they know has tested positive. We'll do that each morning to try to kind of make sure that we are only bringing healthy campers to camp. We will continue with our enhanced cleaning protocols that we have had in place. So that kind of looks like disinfecting all of our materials in between activities. We are, as part of the school district, have been given a lot of advice from them about what proper cleaning procedures are, and we continue to follow those. And then we are located on a 99-acre property. And so we are out and about as much as possible in the fresh air, where it just is a little bit easier to social distance. Some things that we don't have in place this summer. So we don't have a mask policy in place. We're kind of confident with that daily health screening. I know in initial communications, we talked about having a 2-week health screening for any symptoms prior to arrival at camp. We have decided, kind of in looking at current trends, that we don't need to have that in place. So that kind of outlines what our COVID protocols are for the summer. Next, just to talk a little bit about our staff. So all of our camp counselors have to be at least 18 years or older. All of our staff are first aid and CPR certified. They provide all supervision and facilitation during camp. They participate in 2 weeks of training prior to camp starting, where we go over not only how to run all of our activities, but also teaching techniques and behavior management, dealing with homesickness. We really try to put together as comprehensive of a training as we can to really prepare our counselors to best serve our campers that are coming. And then lastly, since we are owned and operated by Douglas County School District, all of our employees, all of our staff are employees of the school district, which means that they undergo a federal and a state background check, are also background checked by the Douglas County Sheriff's Department. Next, to talk about drop off and pickup. I know that was a big question that a lot of people had. So we do have transportation in place to bring campers to and from camp from Douglas County High School in Castle Rock every day. So drop off will take place each morning at Douglas County High School from 8 o'clock to 8:20 a.m. The first day check-in is a little bit more involved just because we do need to gather all of the paperwork that our licensing regulations require us to have on hand when campers attend camp. So we're collecting from the campers a copy of their immunization forms. On our website, we have listed the official Colorado immunization form, which is what our licensing agency requires those immunizations to be on. We are able to collect immunization forms that are on other forms that your doctor's office might give. But if they are on the incorrect form, we do have to go through the somewhat tedious process of transferring them onto the correct form. So if you are at all able to get it on that correct form, we really, really appreciate it, but are prepared to accept other forms if needed. Paperwork being collected also includes a medical authorization form. So if you are going to be sending any medications with your camper to camp, whether that is prescription medications, over-the-counters, vitamins, or supplements, we do need that medical authorization form completed by a doctor. If you are not sending any medications, you don't need to fill out that form or bring it. That first day check-in, just like every other day, will also include that health screening. We will be sharing information about our camp store, which I'll talk about in more detail in just a little bit, and then it will be time to hop on the bus. If you prefer to transport your camper to and from camp, you can give me an email at that summercamp@stonecanyonedge.org email. Once I'm done, I'll go ahead and pop some important emails and web addresses into the chat. It's really our preference that if you choose to transport your camper, that is something that you're doing all week rather than picking or choosing days. But we are able to accommodate, if your schedule needs to be a little bit different from day to day. As far as what pickup will look like at the end of the day, so pickup again will take place at Douglas County High School from 4:30 to 4:50 p.m. every day. Anyone that is listing up or picking up a camper needs to be listed as an authorized pickup. So during registration, when you were registering your camper, there was an opportunity to share primary parent guardian name and information, also emergency contact information, and people who are and are not authorized to pick up your camper. So whoever is picking up your camper does need to be listed as one of those individuals. On the first day at check-in, we'll review that list with you so you can make sure that everybody who's on there needs to be on there. And then any authorized pickups also need to bring a photo ID with them to sign their camper out. On the last day of pickup, so at Friday, we'll return any medications that were sent to camp, and we'll also refund or go over camp store balance. Speaking of medications, so all of our staff are trained to carry and administer emergency medications, things like EpiPens and inhalers. So if you have a camper that needs one of those items, their specific counselor will have that with them at all times. Any other medications that are being brought, which actually includes those inhalers and EpiPens, do need to be in their original packaging with the dosage clearly labeled. If you have a camper that takes a medication at a specific time of day, we will have a trained staff member that will kind of come find them at camp at that time to make sure that they can get that medication. If you are sending a medication that is on an as-needed basis, your camper just needs to let their staff member know if they're feeling a certain way and need that medication. All of our staff carry radios at all times at camp, and so they can give a quick radio call to whoever would be bringing that medication, and we can get that to your camper. And just again, to reiterate, all medications need to be brought with one of those medical release forms. Next, hot ticket item, I want to talk about food at camp. So we provide delicious and nutritious food. We earlier this year just completed an expansion on our dining hall and kitchen, and so it's been really exciting to use that space. Every day at camp, we will provide campers with a snack and lunch. Our kitchen staff are very talented and great at accommodating different dietary needs and food allergies and preferences. We have vegetarians and dairy-free and gluten-free, a full spectrum that come through. We are what is known as a nut-aware facility, which means that we don't serve any food with nuts in them. We may serve food items that are processed in facilities where nuts are also processed. And when you registered your camper, you should have had a chance to indicate any food allergies. If you are worried that you didn't include that or just want to make sure that we're up to date, you can go ahead and send an email to our chef, whose email is there at the very bottom. At the end of the day, it's our goal to make sure that your camper is fed. Obviously, they are out and about being active at camp, and we want to make sure that everybody has the calories that they need to participate fully. So we are able to provide alternatives for picky eaters. We do kind of train our staff to keep an eye on what campers are eating. If we need to whip up a quesadilla or some buttered noodles, we're very capable and happy to do that to make sure that campers are fed. Next, to talk about the camp store a little bit. So camp store will take place each day from 2 o'clock to 2:45, which is our free time block. We have various food items that cost between $1 and $2 at the camp store. Some of those items include Gatorade, ice cream bars, popsicles, a few types of candies, some salty munchy type snacks. We also have apparel items that are available for purchase and can be pre-ordered on our website. We do have a food limit on how many items campers are able to purchase at the camp store. They're limited to 2 items plus 1 drink per day. And we really work with them to try to help them budget and make sure that their money in their camp store account will last for the full week of camp. To talk really quickly about how to set up a camp store account. So on our website, stonecanyonedge.org, on the tabs across the top, there is an apparel tab on the far right. Once you load that tab, there is an apparel option that says camp store account. You can set up your camp store account with various increments of $5. And over the course of the week, if your camper does ever drop below $5, we will send a complimentary email just letting you know that their balance has dropped that low. Now to talk just a little bit about what the daily schedule for camp looks like. So we talked about drop-off being each morning from 8 o'clock to 8:20. It's about a 20 to 30 minute drive to get from Castle Rock to Larkspur. So we'll arrive at camp at about 9 o'clock each morning. That's when we'll go through our morning announcements. We'll give our kind of initial reminder to make sure everybody is putting on sunscreen and drinking water during the day. And then we'll divide for our daily activities. So each activity block is 1 hour. We have three group activity blocks during the day with a snack or lunch in between. From 2 o'clock to 2:45, we have that free time camp store period. And following free time, we have a large group activity every day where everybody comes together and participates. We do different fun things like a skit show, a carnival, a big color wars competition. We try to make those activities a lot of fun for everybody to participate together. Following that group activity period, it's kind of our last call for bathrooms and making sure everybody has all of their items when it's time to hop on the bus and travel back to Castle Rock for pickup. As far as what activities and grouping looks like, campers will generally be grouped by age. So generally like a group of all 6-year-olds and a group of all 7-year-olds. If you have a specific group mate request, you can send an email to that email that is on the page. Please include the session that your camper will be attending and their request. If your camper is requesting to be in a group with somebody who is a little bit more removed from them in age, our policy is generally to group the older camper down. So if you were requesting a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old to be in a group, our policy would be to put the 8-year-old in with the younger 6-year-old group of campers. So just something for you to keep in mind with those group requests. And then all of our campers will participate in the same activities, just on differing schedules. So kind of a sampling of different activities that we offer. All campers will have the chance to make a tie-dye shirt at camp. Campers participate in various group games, things like dodgeball, ultimate frisbee, gaga ball is a really popular one at camp. We have arts and crafts activities, things like friendship bracelets. We make crafts out of popsicle sticks and yarn, and we have stickers and buttons, all kinds of fun things. And then kind of a random gathering of activities, things like dance parties and scavenger hunts. During training as a staff, we spend time to make sure that we come up with various rainy day activities. So, if we unfortunately are rained out, we have a plethora of activities that we can do indoors with campers to keep them excited and having a good time. A really popular one from last summer was campers making their own mini golf course and getting to try it out. Next, just to talk a little bit about what to pack every day. So every day campers should come to camp with some day pack, just a small backpack that they can carry their belongings around in. In that day pack, they should have a water bottle. They should bring sun protection, so sunscreen, hat, sunglasses. They should also bring some warm layers, a rain jacket. Afternoon thunderstorms do happen sometimes, and so making sure that they're prepared for that. We don't typically have terrible bugs at camp. You know, it's typically nice and dry, but bug spray is never a bad idea to bring. And then to talk a little bit about contraband, or things that we don't want sent to camp. So that would include weapons, anything including pocket knives, lighters, etc. We prefer that campers are not sent to camp with any food with them. If you have a concern about your camper not getting enough food, please feel free to reach out. If food is sent, it does need to be nut-free. We ask that campers not bring any electronics with them to camp. We just don't want anything to get lost. We are located in a canyon, which is really beautiful. Unfortunately, there is not cell phone service in the canyon. So even if you sent your camper with a phone, they wouldn't have any cell service. And we just really want to make sure things are not broken or lost. And then please don't send your camper to camp with any medications that are not checked in with Stone Canyon staff. To talk a little bit about water and sunscreen at camp. So regular water intake is highly stressed and monitored by staff. Like I mentioned, our staff carries radios with them at all times. It is not uncommon every 30 or 45 minutes for someone to pop on and give a reminder for everybody to have a water appreciation moment and take a few sips of water. If campers do forget a water bottle, we have loaner water bottles that we're prepared to loan out to make sure that people are getting regular water. We also place insulated jugs full of ice water around camp so that water bottles can be refilled throughout the day if needed. And then for sunscreen, so regular sunscreen application, again, highly stressed and monitored by staff. We want to make sure that everybody is keeping safe at camp, and sunscreen application is a big part of that. Our camp staff do carry sunscreen that can be given to campers if permission was given during registration. So during registration, there was a section or a question about if you approve the certain type of sunscreen that our staff carries. So if you gave that approval, then we're able to let them use that if needed. Staff are able to help with application of sunscreen if necessary. It's awesome if your camper is able to put that sunscreen on, but we know that sometimes that can be a little bit tricky. And so sometimes, you know, we'll try with modeling. Oh, I'm going to put some sunscreen on my nose. Now I'm going to put some all over my arms. But if we notice that campers need help, we're definitely prepared to do that with permission from them, of course. To talk about homesickness a little bit, luckily during day camp, we don't experience a lot of homesickness just because kids have the chance to go home every night. But we do train our staff on how to recognize and navigate homesickness. So keeping an eye for campers that might be withdrawn. You know, sometimes not eating food can be an indication of homesickness, and can kind of work with campers to process those feelings. Generally, we don't allow phone calls home during camp, as that, in our experience, often makes homesick situations worse. Kind of to prepare your camper for camp, focus on how excited you are for their camp experience, and that you're really excited to hear about their adventures. It's a great idea to, you know, send them off on play dates with trusted friends and family members, where they might go without you, so they kind of have that experience of being away from you for a little bit. And then lastly, I just wanted to talk about uploading forms. So those paperwork pieces that I talked about, the immunization form and the medication release, can be uploaded into your active account in advance, which will just make that check-in process go a little bit faster. You are welcome to bring hard copies if you'd like to. But if you would like to upload your forms to your active account prior to camp starting, you would log into your active account and under your session, click download or upload form. So you can download the form, print it out, get it filled out, then you can scan it or take a picture of it and upload it in that same spot, and hit submit, and we'll be in touch, you know, if something is wrong with the form or if it's not exactly what we're looking for. So those are my slides. Got through that pretty quickly. So now I'll just go ahead and open it up. It doesn't look like we have any questions in the chat, but if anybody has questions, feel free to pop them in. If you would prefer to unmute yourself and ask your questions, please feel free. Any questions from anyone?
Thank you for being so organized. It makes our life easier. Appreciate everything.
Thank you. Thank you. I try. Not always easy.
It was very helpful.
Wonderful.
Will the recording be sent automatically, or do we need to request it?
So the recording will take like a day to get it uploaded to our YouTube account. And then once that's sent, I'll send a link to it to everyone. Great question.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. Any other questions from anyone? So a question about if this is written down somewhere, that is something I should have mentioned at the beginning. I'm sorry. Starting about 1 month prior to your camp date, I'll be sending an email roughly every week with information, a lot of which is included in this presentation. So keep an eye on your inbox for that. Our website is also a great resource. If you go to stonecanyonedge.org and kind of poke around there, you can find a lot of that information there.
Do you have any advice for a little boy who's 9, who's maybe nervous about being outdoors every day? He's got a little bug fear. Is there any advice to get him excited about this?
Well, one thing that I mentioned before, but we very rarely have bugs at camp. You know, if he's feeling a little bit nervous about it, maybe giving him the chance to explore bugs from a safe perspective. So like looking up some YouTube videos. Sometimes I think that education is the biggest power. But we're also not rolling around in the grass or anything like that. So hopefully there won't be too many incidences with bugs at camp.
How you guys handle disagreement between kids?
Great question. So part of training with our staff is talking through conflict resolution. So when there's a disagreement, you know, we try to separate campers and give them both a chance to kind of share their side of the story and then have a mediated conversation with them. We typically start with having our counselors lead that discussion, who spend the most time with the campers and might know them a little bit well. But, you know, if something escalates, we do have a leadership team for summer camp that is prepared to kind of step in and work on that. At the end of the day, if 2 campers really are not capable of being in the same group with each other, we're prepared to kind of shuffle things around to make sure everyone is having the best camp experience possible.
Thank you.
Yeah. A question about if campers will bring their crafts home every day. It kind of depends on what the craft is. Some things take a little bit longer to set. You know, if there's wet glue or something like that, tie-dye specifically needs to sit for 24 hours before it can be rinsed out and washed and sent home. So if we're able to, you know, have a quick craft that can be sent home the same day, it will. But if not, it will be home by the end of the week. I'm just going to go ahead in the chat and pop in different email addresses for myself and for our head chef. That Enrolled Families Hub is a little bit more targeted to overnight camp, but definitely has some helpful information for you. A link to set up a camp store account, and then a link to log into Active, our registration software. All right, I will hang around for a few minutes. It does seem like things are dying down, so I appreciate you taking the time to attend this and ask your questions. And of course, please reach out between now and your camp session if you have any other questions that come up.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming. Have a good night, everyone.
Say bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Costner. Thanks for coming.
Bye, Amy. Bye.
Thank you.